I've known you guys for a pretty good while now. And so I feel like if I tell you I need to tell you a story to give you a word, that you'll sit with me a minute. So I used to work at this kind of hometown church, right? And even though a lot of people want you to go out and plant some big mega church, that's not always what God has in mind. And even though I've worked at spaces like that, my favorite places to work are hometown churches. Spaces where I can know your grandma's name and your grandpa's name and what's going on in your family and maybe where your mailbox is so I can drop off soup or something if you're not feeling well, and it's just a nice place. Well, I was working at a place like this many, many years ago, and there was a pastor there who was our outreach pastor, and I was what you'd call, I guess, the modern pastor, because I went from being the college pastor to there being 2 services, and that was always nice to think that the elders wanted to come to our service, so it just became bigger than me, and it's always bigger than me. Well, this outreach pastor was old enough to be about my dad's age, and I remember he'd pull up in his pickup truck every Sunday, and he would ask me if I'd made a list yet. Well, what's the list, you ask? The list was, what did I need? What did I need for the church? What did I want it to look like? What did I want to be able to do? But I don't do well when we talk about funding and the church, and that's one of my shortcomings. And it's because I was raised in a way that we were really careful about money and God. And I'm still like that. I'm still so cautious. And I felt like asking for funding to do something beautiful would take away from the needs of the community. So long story short, short story long, I never really made that list. I made a half-butted list to what I thought I could do good enough with. I had this vision at this church, and the Lord had showed me many doors, antique doors, beautiful doors, colorful doors with glass knobs covering the backspace of the altar. Some were turned sideways, some were upside down. It was just a beautiful, weird backdrop. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking much about being a prophetic person because I was building around this church, and I thought that this was a real visual. But it ended up being just the Lord trying to tell me that there were so many doors beyond this, so many doors, spiritually speaking, that we were opening so many good doors, and it really did lead into what become an international ministry today. And I'm so grateful that I've been obedient and followed the Lord, even though at that time and space I was afraid to make a list. Well, years go by, and I asked my son, because I felt so prompted. I was like, Jack, I want to make an impossible list. I want to make it for our family and for this ministry, and I want to make it for anything that's on our heart, and I want you to do it with me. So I make a list, and I think it looks good, right? It's better and bigger than I've asked for before. It's got more faith in it. I'm no longer afraid that God can't pull from this or he doesn't have to pull from anything because he's God and he owns the cattle on 1,000 hill. And I thought I was doing good. And then I look at Jack's list, and his impossible list is a dog, a new chair for his games, and he wants to move. So he walks out of my room, and I sit down in my little green chair with these gold little legs on it that I love so much, and I just sink down into it, and I look at God, and I'm like, why does he think that's impossible? And God said, get out your list and tell me why you think that one is good anyway. I'm like, I thought that it's good, it's better. He said, better, but it's still not it. Because you think that that's pushing it. Yeah. And he was right. So today I wanted to tell you what Habakkuk said, and he said, write the vision, make it plain. This comes from chapter 2, 1 through 3, and it says, I will stand at my guard post and station on the tower, and I will keep watch to see what he will say to me and what answer I will give as his spokesman when I am reproved. And then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and engrave it plainly on clay tablets so that the one who reads it will run. For the vision is yet for an appointed future time. It hurries towards the goal of fulfillment. It will not fail. Even though it delays, wait patiently for it, because it will certainly come. It will not delay. This verse echoes back to, I waited patiently for the Lord and he heard my cry. Some of you aren't asking big enough. Some of you are afraid that to ask God for something big is selfish, or afraid that if you ask him for exactly what you need, that he's going to think that you have an ulterior motive. But the Lord knows your heart. And maybe you're like me and you've always had trouble putting a price tag on things or asking the Lord for things for yourself. And something I'm learning as I get older is the Lord doesn't have to take from anyone else to bless me. The Lord doesn't have to pull from something that is going to take from someone else, because he owns all things. He creates all things. And if it's something that he set out for me to do, then I need to be praying towards that space, and I need to be faithful to write it down. On this side of my bed is so many proclamations and so many Bible verses, so many decrees and declares, that when I go to bed, it's one of the last things I see every day. It's so powerful to take what's in your head and on your spirit and in your heart and write it down. And to have it, and I like to put mine in my Bible and shut it, because that means that to me, when I see it in there, I know that it's not in my hands anymore. And I don't have to worry about it. And one of the best things I could teach you about things you're waiting on, whether it's something that you need from God, whether it's something monetary, whether it's something family, whether it's something health, is imagine yourself picking that thing up, close your eyes, and just put it right in God's hands. It's one of the most powerful ways that helps me in prayer when I'm struggling with letting something go, or not worrying about it, or not thinking about the outcome. Because right now the world does feel like it's on fire, right? And maybe in a way it is. But at the same time, when we can take things to the Lord, write it out, make it plain, and then once you're done, when you go to bed, or when you're having a bad day, or when you're having trouble letting it go, you got to focus on what you can control. And that's all you can do. So all you can do from that point on is be obedient, focus on what you can control, be a good example, and when you go into your prayer closet, just imagine giving those things over to God. And I tell you, you'll rest a lot better if you do. I know this word is a little bit of everything pulled together, but write it down. Have you wrote it down? Are you afraid to ask for that big thing? Are you afraid maybe you want to plant a church, and maybe you need, if you've ever planted a church, you know that a complex is not cheap. It's not. The Lord will have me look at them sometimes, because I've been a church planting pastor, but the funding from the ground up is usually investors, so that part I usually don't have to touch. But if I go in and I look at it before anyone has bought it and they call me in, I'm going to freak out, because I'm like, that's a lot of money. But God always says, it's not a lot to me. And sometimes we offend God's heart when we believe that it's too big for him, when it's not really. And sometimes that comes from a little bit of a religious space of how we grow up, that we don't want to be weird with God's money, and we don't. But when you're doing something to the glory of God, I believe that he will help you fund it. He'll help you get there. He'll put the right people in your path. And if you keep praying, you don't ever got to tell anybody you need it. When I'm in a space that I need something, I don't tell people that I need it. Because that way when it shows up, I know that it was God. I know that he intended for me to have that. And that's what I love about a list like that. Because a lot of times when I have one, something will just show up. And I'll go back to that list and I'll remember that, yes, it might have come through so-and-so. But it come through so-and-so from God. And I just feel like today, whoever you are and whatever you're trying to build, or whatever it is in your family, maybe you just need a new house. Maybe you're outgrowing and your kids need their own space, or, I don't know what it is for you. But don't be like me and wait so long to make that list. Do it now. Trust him now. Don't have to get older to learn what I learned. That the Lord doesn't have to take from somebody else to give to you, because he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Write the vision, make it plain, and have them.